warm welcome to everyone. Today I'd like to say a few words about rail water, which is present in all our products. I'd like to talk about water that behaves completely differently from everything we know. Water that adjusts its pH, redox, and all other parameters to the individual person. I'd like to talk about water that works and interacts differently, that isn't manually adjusted by humans. Today we have scientific expert reports prepared by the Polish Academy of Sciences, which clearly shows some very interesting anomalies in the water that could be explained and demonstrated here. For example, the Gibbs free energy, which appears on the products. When water comes into contact with our products, an energy appears that in fact shouldn't occur. This is truly one of the more profoundly interesting and unique anomalies that frequently occurs here within the water itself. Another significant and crucial aspect to consider is the noticeable shift in the precise freezing and thawing point of this particular water, which consequently causes this water to behave in a completely and utterly different manner with every single person, every individual plant, every living animal, and indeed with all diverse forms of life. Another aspect, probably a very interesting one, actually I think the most interesting one with our rail water, is transmutation. All of science tends to avoid this topic quite broadly, I would say. However, here we are dealing with a situation where if someone, an individual, places a glass of water on even our simplest base, after some time, certain elements disappear and new ones appear. This experiment has been carried out many times in laboratories in England, and for each person who did it, the result was different for every individual. So when someone did it, different elements would appear while others would disappear. This is strong evidence that the water transmutes, meaning it prepares and provides what is meant to happen here. Maybe a couple of words of history about this water that we're discussing here. In 2012, I had a meeting with Masaru Emoto. After that meeting, I returned to Poland and built the first device that produced water, which today we call R.A.I.L water. The photo you see here was taken in Masaru Emoto's laboratories. It shows the structure, the geometry of the shape. It shows water that is in a completely different dimension. Out of over 5 or 6 million studies conducted by Masaru Emoto, he considered this structure to be the most regular and the most proper for this planet. Here we see products, each of which contains R.A.I.L water. Meanwhile, this product line, the balls and coasters, are capable of producing water with up to 60% orthoclusters. Here we have a range of products that contain specially prepared and programmed crystals, which are capable of producing water with 95% orthoclusters. In the ALIA systems, we used rock crystal. Let me just say a couple of words, because everyone thinks it's such a beautiful, wonderful crystal that anyone can buy, hold in their hand, and everything will be great. No, it doesn't work like that. The property of rock crystal is that whoever touches it, it immediately reads them. It picks up their emotions, literally in a fraction of a second. For example, if we have a beautiful crystal on display at a fair and thousands of people touch it, then the weakest person who touches it will unfortunately absorb everything from the crystal. The effect will work in reverse. However, the crystal we used for the technology was specially prepared. First, its memory was cleansed and it was charged to a very high level. As of today, this crystal cannot be reprogrammed and nothing else can be done with it. That's why a crystal prepared in this way can raise the potential of R.A.I.L water to a very, very high level. And that's where we get the difference between 60% orthoclusters and 95% with the ALIA system. Thank you.